And guys, we are back. Sonny, I just put a disclaimer out. If anytime again, you know, feel free now. My number, it's not a problem. I don't mind. It's a conversation. It's the off-air conversation that piqued me too, about, you know, the
vibe nice. I hope you're nicer too, because we have Jalifa here.
Definitely.
So Jalifa is joining us, and I just want to give a little bio of Jalifa. Born to Bobo Shanti parents, Jalifa began singing at the age of 7, entering the local reggae scene in her teens. Known for her unique, raspy, powerful style, she shared the stage with the likes of Buzz Rock, Prophet Benjamin, Isasha, Queen Omega, Chezedek, and Junior Kelly, among many others. Jalifa is, some can say, is in the midst of her breakout moment. In 2022, she released her album, Ancient Ras, and she was also featured on Queen Omega's Wise Queens, that song you heard, I think, the previous break. Right. We welcome Jalifa to the conversation. Jalifa, you are a proud Rastafarian. And tell us about your early, I assume you're a cannabis user too, am I too presumptuous?
Yes. Facts.
Tell me about some of your earliest memories and experiences with the plant.
Well, actually, I born within Rastafari. So growing up, it's always there. You know, even though we're Rastafarians, wise growing up to our parents never like just have us. We're smoking weed all over the place and stuff like that, even though the weed is good, you know. But when I get older, you know, I start to build it for myself and get to know about the plant for myself and not just use it, you know, for sacramental purposes only, but for medicinal purposes and also recreational. Because the herb, you have to realize, it is not just scientifically, you know, proven good. It also biblically proven good likewise, you know, because if you read Revelation 22 verse 2, it will tell you about a plant, which is the tree of life, that bear 12 fruits, and the leaves is the healing of the nation. And in Genesis 1-29, and in Psalm 18-8, it will show you that even God, you know, and all use the herbs and the importance of it, because it said in Psalm 18-8 that smoke will come out of his nostrils and fire out of his mouth and all these things. So you get to understand why now the herb will be getting a fight down. You know, but I still continue to use it and know the purpose of it and know that it's a natural plant that have sacred purposes likewise. Because it's not like any other plant, like you will burn rosemary, you know, as sacrament. No. You know, the herbs have something different. So to me, this is why it is getting a complete fight down within the system, you know, but...
I know you're considered one of the wise queens, you know, and this is also, I know you have been, a lot of people ask me, where am I? But I'm in the background trying to make sure things run 1,000%, not 100, right? Yes, it's a blessing to have you here this evening, and one of the things I always ask is that I understand being in a Rastafarian home, growing up in the lifestyle. One of the things I want to ask you is, how do you feel with what is happening now from 2019 to now? Just last week we're hearing the Minister Alvarez, the former AG, talk about, you know, what is happening with the authority, and you know, that sense of inclusiveness. I mean, what's your personal feeling knowing what is happening from 2019 to now, especially coming from a home where you would have seen discrimination, persecution towards persons within your community?
Concerning on marijuana levels?
Definitely, yes, man.
Well, actually, it's usually the fiber we get problem from. Everybody I know, from them off it suit straight home, them up on weed. You know, so we never really, like, get any kind of fight down. I will say my parents did, you know, for the marijuana, because at that time, it now free up, not go with flow. So a lot of ones get locked up for it and get them locked stream and thing for a natural plant. So at that time, it was really pressure for them, you know, and I still give thanks for the ones on the forefront and my parents and a lot of elders like the I self, you know, who go through a lot for this natural plant.
So so tell me something. You look pretty young, you know. I don't tell us your age, you know, women and their age. Tell me something from your music, you know, resonating into the youth of Trinidad and Tobago, especially in reggae culture. I mean, what kind of advice you would give to those who may be hearing this program and hearing that you have around the plan for various medicinal aspects, recreational aspects? What sort of advice you would give to youth? Just tapping into an interview we did before with UB Professor Dr. Clement, talking about some of the negatives. But what advice you would give to youth, especially around the cannabis plant?
Well, actually, I will tell any youth that marijuana is good. like any other plant in the world because it is natural, just like any other herb that the Lord thy God put there for us, you know. So I will tell any youth, the herb is good. It have to know how to use wisely, you know, because of the system, you know, and how it's set out, you know, but it is good. It have, you know, sacred values. It have medicine, ever-growing medicinal values, you know. So these are the thing I will tell you, look into it, you know. And when them get older, if them want to tap into the good herbs, free up, man, free up. It is a good, it is a good.
Definitely. And we know we have an elder amongst us in the studio, Bongo Grace. I know the youth has always been something that you hold close and dear to your heart. I mean, what are your views in regards of, you know, what is happening in regards to decriminalization? Because in everything good, there's always some level of bad, because of moderation and discipline is a key factor that we have to take into position here. What is your views? I mean, you're an elder in the Rastafari community and being part of all mansions of Rastafari.
Well, greetings again, brethren. Well, again, discipline is always the key, you know. Discipline and proper education, right? All right, take for instance Jalifa. Jalifa was, you know, born from strong Rastafari parents, you know, very powerful Rastafari parents from youth. And it's a clear example as pertaining to the professor of pharmacopoeia. What was his name again? Dr. Yuri Clement. That, you know, it clearly shows that there is insufficient evidence in terms of parents who smoke cannabis, and give birth to a youth. It could also be proven that youths from parents who smoke cannabis at birth sometimes have a higher aptitude. You know, such evidence would vary from person to person. But to say that the evidence that he gave, you know, that the professor gave, it is not clearly dated, you know. So in terms of information again as to the youth, you know, marijuana is a plant, it's like a botanic plant like any other plant. However, in terms of usage, right, in today, you remember the Rastafari concept about cannabis. Rastafari always had a particular land race in terms of cannabis sativa. And Rastafari don't use herb to get high. Rastafari use the herb as a meditation. So it's not to say that I had to drink, like, you know, a bottle of rum to get drunk in order to smoke 100 ganja to get high. It's all about a med, you know. So give thanks, you know. So, you know, these few words, I'll let the session continue our discourse.
Yeah, certainly. So Jalifa, it's so good to have you in studio. And the folks, you wouldn't believe, when you see her, she looks so tiny, but her voice is so powerful. It resonates, you know. Tell us about your creativity in music, you know, and the use of cannabis, and how does the merging of the two, you know. Tell us a little bit about that. Because I know there's a lot of folks out there, a lot of young people out there who are creative just as yourself. And they definitely have the musical touch. I mean, Trinidad and Tobago and the Caribbean is a musical place, so to speak. So tell us a little bit about that connection for you.
Well, firstly, marijuana helps the brain function better, you know, and it brings vibes, you know, as the I say, meditation. So when you go and write, sometimes I write music and I don't even have marijuana to get meditation. But so let's see, I give I inspiration to the meditation flow. Same way, you know. But I always there have the herb bun, you know, to keep I in that calm zone, you know, to go through where Jah works, because everything is a divine thing, you know. Every single thing created by the Most High, it's good, you know. So that's reggae and ganja and all these things. Yeah, it comes together as one, because at a time to reggae music, when you listen to it, you go and smoke something. And this is the problem with them have, you know, because ganja have a power to open up the mind and make a one know them true self, you know. So I'm always there burn herb when me I do my music within that creative process, you know.
And Bongo Grace, I want to bring you back in. A few years ago, I did a documentary series on cannabis in Trinidad and Tobago, and one of the things Dr. Peter Hanuman Singh, the late Peter Hanuman Singh, said was that, you know, the influence of reggae music helped spur the movement of Rastafari within the region and across the world. Tell me about the influence you believe reggae music had in spreading the messages of Rastafari and the importance on that sort of thing.
Certainly, reggae music had been a force of influence to Rastafari, because from in the early days, from in my days, when you hear a burning spear with Mamali, you're late to go out and you're tying your shoulders, but you won't leave the house until you're done. So many Rastas, even today when you compare Christianity to in terms of reggae music, certain reggae music, you would find that there are those reggae music come like songs of redemption to many Rastas, rather than really code of conduct in terms of other aspects of religion and that thing. So reggae music had always been a very powerful force of influence pertaining to Rastafari.
And Jalifa, just tell me, what were some of your early inspirations? When did you realize that reggae music is for me? This is what I want to do with my life. What was it that sparked that moment? Was it a particular lyric from a song? Was it you went to a concert, or did you hold a meditation and that came to you that this is your purpose?
Well, actually, it started in my home, because my whole family is a musical family. My father was a DJ, he also MC, and him always play Burning Spear and Ras Michael and reggae music. I go up with that horticultural kind of song. But I actually started out doing hip-hop music. You wouldn't believe. I started out doing hip-hop and R&B and all these sorts of different music. So reggae actually gravitate towards that naturally, because that was like the sound in my house. I just came in with the hip-hop and all these things naturally. So that's mean it was naturally in me already, you know?
It's amazing to see the talent that comes out and the present that comes out from small packages. As a guy, you know, in the realm, you know, because they look at it and say, hey, you're under 5'5", you know, it's the city power, you know, big things come in small packages and it's really good. But Jalifa, the music itself, I would say keep it coming. Give thanks for everything. We just touching base really quick. I just want to mention as well, guys, that we're going to be opening up the lines when we come back from the break. All right, now this is Heights. Now, as I said before, everything you heard here, you hear the voice. I know some people scrambling on the phone to catch a piece of the recording, to catch a piece of Jalifa, you know, don't worry, you have everything recorded, guys. Just check the Heights social media pages and you get all the content that you need. All right, so we're going to take a break. When we come back with more vibe, more energy right here. Right, Heights, Bongo Grease, respect every time, and it just the wealth of knowledge, boy. The wealth of knowledge. Sonny, next week we go to. You come back. And we are back. It's all about Heights right here on Slam 100.5, and I believe our sister station Freedom as well. We're getting it. Yes, can't forget the sister station. But of course, I must say thank you to the sponsors for making this possible. All right, Royal Extra Stout, and of course 1212 Grow Shop. Yeah, and we back. The team is back here, and we also have Bongo Grease and of course Jalifa with us. Josh. Okay.
Yeah, so Jalifa, again, we're back and we're so happy to have you in studio again. Well, not again, for the first time, you know. We want to know about your music, because I'm certain a lot of persons maybe saying, Jalifa, who is Jalifa? I never hear, you know, but when they hear the voice, they're like, oh, real intrigued and they want to know more. Tell us a little bit about your music. We recently saw that you released a song, Talk About. Tell us a little bit about that and what other projects you have coming up. We want to know.
Okay, well, that recent track that I released with a video, Talk About, it is a kind of personal track, you know, because I've been going through a lot, you know, personally, you know, after the whole COVID thing, not just me, but me and my whole entire family, you know. So that song was like a kind of release in a kind of way. I know it will be relatable to other people, because there's a lot of people, you know, different worlds sometimes, but the same thing happened, you know. So that's the whole concept of Talk About. It was produced by Nikusa, which is my younger brother. It was
keeping it within the family.
Yes, sir. It was mixed by Cadet, Big Up Yourself Full Time, and mastered by Neil Duwala. The video was done by Lyndon Wong and directed by myself.
Ah, interesting. So, are there any upcoming projects or any things that you have in your works that you wanna? Sometimes we hold a little something on the side and we wait a little bit before we bust it. But could the listening public, the world, know any? Give you a little sneak peek of something that might be coming out soon, or
Yeah, well, there is a lot to come. I have a lot of music videos and a lot of collaboration, likewise with people from out of Trinidad. So just stay tuned to the frequency. I don't want to talk too much until it finalized, but there is a lot of things coming out. Just stay tuned to the frequency, man.
But Jalifa, before we let you go, do we get a acapella something now? We had to hear that powerful voice, We had to hear something.
We look like a mouse with a jaw of a lion. We keep it in our righteousness with the fun, bigging up heights, where knowledge grow, and give thanks for that sacred plant marijuana, well, it's the Fire Princess Jalifa representing straight Bongo Grease. Big up yourself full time. I got a backyard full of herb, vital seasoning. Smoke the herbs, listen the birds, vital reasoning. It just a flips to take a draw. Listen, Mr. Officer, it just my baby I am watering. I got a backyard full of herb, vital seasoning. Strictly Santa Mata gold, big trees and seedling. It just a planted, bring the arms, so why you say you break the law when it's my baby I'm just watering. Police boy, kick down my door like I'm a criminal because I have it naturally, organically grown with no chemical. Look at this garden, Mr. Corporal. You see only botanical, just like the collie greens or the provision. This plant of arm, it never kill no man, cause we've been smoking marijuana even before the days of King Solomon. Words of the wise is right and never wrong. Why buy when there's a plot along? I got a backyard full of herb, I can seasoning. Your eyes, pick up yourself, full cut,
big things that come, big things. Jalifa, before you go, just tell us how people could connect on socials and that sort of thing.
Oh yes, you could find me on Facebook and on IG as Jalifa Official. My YouTube channel, Jalifa Official. Just type it up and you'll find me.
Jalifa, much love, We look forward to seeing your career continue to blossom.
More strength, more love, Upward mobility. Rastafari works and message. Forever live itinerally.
And stay tuned, Heights Nation. After the break, we have the Grow Guru segment with Mark Seebran and Derek Achong. Stay with us.
And we are back, and it's all about heights right here on Slam 100.5. Yours truly, first holding it down for Sonny Bling. And I'm here with Joshua, Kaya, Otto, and the team, Bongo. Manners and respect going out to Jalifa as well. And right now, we're getting into a segment, so you're going to hear me a lot more because you're going to be like that 3-year-old child asking a lot of questions. Once again, thank you going out to our sponsors. All right. Royal Extra Stout and, of course, 1212 Grow. Yeah? So I'll hand it over.
Achong here again tonight with Mark Seebran, my co-host of the Grow Guru segments.
How you doing?
Yeah, man. So last week we started off with the importance of seed. The key is in the seed. So we spoke about germination, storing seeds. So now that our listeners might have germinated a seed, have a little seedling there, we want to move on now to the grow medium of choice. What are you going to grow this plant in? I mean, obvious thinking is that soil. You just stick it in the ground in a hole and let it grow. But it mightn't be as easy as that. I mean, from our experience, marijuana can be a very ticklish plant, can be very sensitive sometimes. I mean, you may be able to get it to grow in the ground, but it wouldn't grow to its full potential necessarily unless, you do certain things, you prepare, condition the soil, etc. But I mean, generally speaking, we would recommend growing it into a pot where you can manage it, you know? So, choosing soil medium. Mark?
Well, that is obviously the next step from where we started off on. Starting your seeds, getting your seedlings going. There's many different grow mediums. Everybody will obviously have their personal preferences and stuff like that. Me, myself, I like to keep things sterile. I'm pretty sure you like to keep things on the sterile side as well. And then another thing too, we only allowed 4 plants. You don't want to risk them things outside in the ground.
Yeah.
You know what? So yeah. Basically from seeds, once your seeds pop, what everybody wants to do is start in a cup, a small pot, but as you said, we had to choose the grow medium. Whether we're doing soil, we're doing cocoa, we're doing a mixture of both. Everybody has their own.
And for those out there, I mean, when we talk soil, we talk normal soil. I mean, some people use Pro Mix, which is really cocoa peat, which is sorry, not cocoa peat, peat moss, which is moss that would have broken down over thousands of years in peat bogs in Canada and certain parts of Europe, and they call it promix. That mixed with perlite. The alternative also is cocoa peat, which is broken down coconut husk, which is dried and milled, which serves a similar purpose, but it's renewable.
Both of those are renewable.
Quite renewable, but the cocoa peat in Trinidad especially tends to be quite cheaper because you could buy a block which you could rehydrate and get a lot of plants. We want to involve Bongo there. From what your experience out there, previously would be people growing whole fields, not necessarily plant pots. How has that shifted with the decriminalization?
Actually, apart from peace, with the decriminalization, everybody today is allowed to grow their 4 trees. So generally, people have developed quite a lot of technique pertaining to the new strains of cannabis. Because normally from a very earlier time before decriminalization, people basically used to use more or less, in cannabis there are basically 3 species: indica, cannabis sativa, and ruderalis. But however, the cannabis sativa had always been the preferably the land race that Rastafari or most people, even from the indentured people, use cannabis sativa.
So that we know as local.
Right, we know as local. However, today as a Rastaman smoking ganja 30 to 40 years ago, you couldn't smoke a ganja without getting your shirt burn or your shirt burn or your pants burn. A seed must pop. However, today, because of these pieces of ganja, they are seedless. Everybody is growing seedless ganja.
Sensimilla.
Right. Well, sensimilla, regardless, they would fall under, whether it's sensimilla, they fall under the category of indica. Indica.
Okay, I thought that was
seedless. I thought sensimilla.
But sensimilla would just means the meaning would just be seedless.
Yeah.
However, these are just other strains of variety that that was built apart from the 3 main species. Earlier on in our conversation, we were speaking about the nutrient content in plant as pertaining to Rastafari not using feces. I would say that in Rastafari, in terms of our pure organic weed, it is not recommended to use different feces in terms of a nitrogen content like whether rabbit, chicken, and all these different things. Though it produces a very high nitrogen content in the plant, it also produces a very high toxicity within the plant. And that is important to note, the toxicity from the feces.
But when you say organic, we talking about all natural, so composting into the soil, but you're not spraying it, you're not spraying it to cure or anything like that.
I'm not talking about that. I'm speaking about more animal feces.
Oh, animal feces. Okay, what about? We are a little bit there, but
feces.
What about? Some persons. Each state will have their each state like Canada. California, Canada. All these places have their own definitions and own standards to meet organic standards. But some persons might say, right, there's probably blue corn on it and there's water it in. That's not organic.
No, it's not organic. That's why they say we don't use.
So you don't use any, and Rastafari don't use fertilizers at all.
Especially today, training is important because you are now coming into medical marijuana. So you have to take care in terms of the patient safety.
Right.
Once you're using feces, animal feces, bat, whatever feces, it actually brings a higher toxicity into the plant. So even in testing, one of the first things you would have to test for is the toxicity level in the cannabis before you take it. Because a person can extract oil, home extraction. And when they extract it, you may get high from the extraction, whatever. However, if you test the toxicity level in it, it's very hazardous to you. That's why lab testing is important.
So, Bongo, let me ask you a question, and this may be veering off the point a little bit also, but would you consider compost and stuff as actual quote-unquote feces? In my mind, it's broken down. It's not raw feces using on a plant, The plant can't do anything with raw feces.
In soil that earthworms too, and earthworms feces will be involved in it.
Well, they must say, in terms like earthworms, like how you make your compost, what sort of, if you're using, let me say you use vegetable compost, right? Vegetables, certain other things for compost, but I'm speaking about directly fowl, pig, manure, goat, all these. As a Rasta man, I know that it produces a high toxicity level. Take for instance, I just shifting off one bit, right?
There you go. Right.
Take for instance, right? If you cashew nuts, right? Cashew nuts everybody loves cashew nuts,
Right.
but cashew nuts is a bit sort of dangerous, right? Although it is, very edible. Have you ever gone to any supermarket and see cashew nuts, raw cashew nuts selling? All cashew nuts that is in a grocery must be pre-baked before it come out. It's pre-baked in order to kill the toxicity level.
Blister is
It taken out. Fish, though fish is very good to eat. Everybody eats fish. It's good. It's all. However, if you have a cut, or anything, I wouldn't advise that during the time that you have a cut or injury or operation, you eat fish. Certain things, has, But in terms of cannabis, in terms of seed, today, the different varieties we have, I will let you explain that.
No, I'm back to the topic of choosing the medium. With these new varieties and strains, as Bong would say, these new hybrids that are out there, they're very sensitive, Mark, as you would know, to environmental conditions, stuff like that. So that's why it's important in our view to,
you kind of want to start your seedlings on a blank slate. You don't want to have you don't want to have them in something too hot, so to speak. You don't want to have a bunch of nutrients in your soil at fresh seedlings starting off. You want to start them off kind of bare basic.
Because the seed has enough nutrients in order for it to grow.
For the first 2 weeks of that seedling's life, it comes pre-packaged with what it needs to survive.
Mark, let me just interject. Sorry, when you're going through this part, just go slowly. I can't really write so fast. So
no problem.
But yeah, what I was saying, for the first 2 weeks of a seedling's life, once it sprouts, it comes, for lack of a better term, pre-packaged with what it needs to survive for that 2 week period. When the seed sprouts, you see those two little round leaves. You don't see the normal marijuana leaves that you're accustomed looking at.
Right.
Those little leaves they call cotyledons. They come out very dark green. There's a reason. Those cotyledons, they have all the nutrients and stuff that seedling needs for the first 2 weeks of its life.
Okay.
Now every seedling is going to be different. Derek and I was speaking about this earlier outside. You're going to see at about a week, it's going to start to pull color from those cotyledons. That's the seedling using nutrients from itself. Right.
Okay.
And the reason for that is they can't handle nutrients at such a young age. They tend that they're young, they will
The root system is not
delicate.
developed enough.
The root system is not
developed
developed
enough. So, again, as I say, generally speaking, personally, you said so. Your medium of choice is from transplanting from seedling is what, Promix or?
I like a 50-50 Pro Mix and perlite. And now that's a lot of perlite, but I like to have
So perlite
it airy.
is like ground up styrofoam essentially. It allows aeration in the plant. Otherwise, the soil tends to get very dense and the soil is waterlogged and the plant will be stunted in its growth and would tend to die or not produce as it should.
The seedling and its roots need water, but they need oxygen equally as much. I use that much perlite just to keep my soil airy. I want it a little fluffy. I don't want it to hold a lot of moisture and be dripping wet.
Yeah.
I just want it moist.
And where am I getting my
Okay, you
Promix
can get the Promix and perlite from any agri store. One of our sponsors, 1212 Grow Shop, is on Abercrombie Street in Port of Spain.
Right.
He has all the products that you would need for any of your growing needs.
Anybody in particular to ask for?
Derek.
All right,
Derek.
nice.
Yeah. Yeah, my namesake, but it's not me. It's somebody else. But yeah, Derek is the point man at 1212, the owner. But yeah, so you could go anywhere. You could, whether you're choosing Promix, you're choosing soil from a yard. Again, I would advise against soil from a yard because you don't necessarily know what input material there. If a dog feces would have been there, as Bongo would have said from before, what mix would have been in that soil.
It could just naturally have a high nutrient content in it.
Yeah, my personal preference is cocoa because it's cheap. It comes in a small packet, so it's easy to store and it's natural in that sense that it came from a plant. Same thing with cocoa peat in that sense, but I use a mix of 70 to 30 because I don't want my pots drying out too much. There will be a difference if you're growing indoor, outdoor. The plant pots you're using, with the decriminalization and with technology, persons are using more fabric pots now, which excellent for drainage, but tend to dry out more outdoors by virtue of it being made out of fabric. So
a clay pot would be better.
Not clay.
Not necessarily.
Clay tends to pull moisture and hold moisture itself. You know, just the pot. Just the
So,
clay.
I mean, a plastic pot could work. I mean, for our listeners out there, it could mean that you have an extra pigtail bucket, or not pigtail, or it could be paint or primer, that you bore some holes in. Drainage is important.
Right.
So, you know, once you decide on your container, you could decide on how much mix, but generally how you mix it, which ratio you want to go on. You want to use, but generally speaking, drainage is very, very, very important. You know, I mean, this then leads us into how you're going to feed the plant. So, I mean, Bongo was talking earlier about not using any manure for feces, but next week we'll be delving more into organics versus synthetics. It's a big debate in the growing community, which is better, which one tastes better. You know, there are a lot of myths out there, a lot of personal preferences. So, I mean, we hope to debunk some of that next week and possibly take some calls if we have the time.
Great. So, guys,
tune in next week for our Guru, and you can look out for us on social media where we will have these segments up, and look forward in the future to where we expect to be doing some video tutorials as well also too. So please look out for that.
Well, I honestly think whether or not Sonny is here, I will be coming in or tuning in definitely for this other segment on Guru. Yeah, boy. But anyway, guys, I just want to say that's it for another episode of Heights. Thanks to all the guests that passed through for the interesting conversations and the important issues. And a special thanks to all our sponsors, of course, Royal Extra Stout and 1212 Grow. Now, next week's show is going to be a special regional show because we're going to have Sabato Caesar. I hope I pronounced that right.
Sabato Caesar.
Sabato, thank you very much. Sabato Caesar. Joining us from St. Vincent, we're gonna have Zach Hadid of Grow Antigua and Barbuda, as well as Junior Kelly of Jamaica and Trinidad's very own Black Loyalty. Not forgetting former JCLA chairman, that's Lavon Flynn. Definitely, as well.
Yes, from Jamaica, yes.
From Jamaica as well. All right. Boy. Also, y'all go ahead.
Well, I just want to, say it's a pleasure to wrap up yet another episode of Heights. I mean, this today was really intriguing. I just feeling like we need some more time.
Yeah,
because especially the Grow Guru segment. I said I'm quiet, listening because
we learning.
Where knowledge grows, and I just want to say it's a pleasure, having Bongo Grease in studio, as an elder in Rastafari. And Jalifa, and I know we would have Professor Yuri Clement, and also Jalifa as well, and Cheryl Murray Powell Esquire online as well too, and Mark Seebran, who has always been positive and been here. So for our listeners, we just want to say, it's a pleasure for joining us today, and definitely you can follow, right now the last episode from last week is actually on YouTube as well, and you can get this episode on YouTube in a couple of days as well, and on Spotify, Amazon Music, TikToks, it's all over. So just search Heights, HIGHTTS.
Great, guys. So don't worry, Sonny will be back because just so you know, this is definitely one of his babies. And like any other parent, you don't really want too much changes in the mix. You understand? So me being the junior,
you're always welcome. You're always welcome.
Yeah, well, of course. I coming back for Grow Guru.
Yeah, but verse, I must say, you outdid yourself today. You outdid yourself today. You was well versed.
Appreciate it, man. I appreciate it. But guys, as I said, Sonny will be back, so don't worry. This is definitely one. Again, for the history books, look out for the segments coming in on all social media. Don't forget to follow them, and don't be afraid to ask questions. Send it in on the WhatsApp, ask it on the pages as well. And Bongo Grease is very open. The guys here are very open themselves. They don't bite or anything like that, so you don't have no worries. Ask the questions because you don't want to end up like me and you have some seeds in a pot for about 3-4 months, and anyway, that's another story. Yeah. I'm coming back for Grogu, for sure, right? You may be signing off, Slam on 0.5, yours truly verse. I'm out. It was a pleasure, guys. You all reach home safe. Be out.